Welcome back to the Wannabe Artist podcast. My name is Justin and I am one of your hosts. And today we have a little special episode. I have decided to kick Joshua off the show for this week. So, who do we have here today?
Hi, this is Kavin Mohan, longtime friend of Justin here. Um, what else is there to say?
Who are you? How did you get here?
I am well, I'm from Irvine, just like Justin. I am a writer, movie watcher,
Mm-hmm.
music listener, longtime interest sharer of Justin. We've been friends for I want to say it's hard to tell. I feel like I can't tell whether or not we should start at third grade or
Yeah,
not.
we'll share our little, I guess, friendship origin story in a
Yeah.
second, but I'd say for the base of our friendship, like 7 years now at
Yeah,
this point.
but I'm currently living in Chicago, just visiting for the week, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to be here.
Hell
And we have a
yeah.
lot to talk about this week.
Yeah, we're gonna be chopping it up. Yeah, you mentioned you're a writer,
Mhm.
and I have to say you are one of the most talented personal writers I've ever met.
Wow.
And I'm friends with a lot of screenwriters and writers, and I can say with 100% confidence that you are still easily one of the most skilled writers I've seen.
Dang. I'm gonna try so hard to take that compliment. I'm trying really hard. That means a lot
It's
coming from
okay.
you. Thank
I'm
you.
terrible at taking compliments too.
But thanks.
Yeah. I guess to give the audience just a little insight to you, pause. Would you want to tell us maybe some of your favorite movies, some of your favorite music
Yeah, okay.
artists?
I would say I was a music lover before I was a music or a movie lover. I feel like it started when my older cousin showed me College Dropout by Kanye West in 6th grade in the back of a car.
Classic.
And since then I have just loved music. It's just therapy at this point. I would say like favorite ever artists. Ooh, JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown, King Cruel. I don't really listen to a specific genre. Right now, I'm really into Zach Bryan. It's
Mhm.
a country artist. Blood Orange is also a top ever. Earl Sweatshirt, and honestly, Childish Gambino like has always been up there.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, and then I during quarantine, I feel like very late, like when I was 15 or 16, kind of realized so I went to high school, I went to an arts high school for writing. The whole program was kind of more poetry, like short form fiction based. And I realized after like halfway through my time in that school that I really love movies and I love the way they're written.
Mhm.
Um, and I just kind of started to fall in love with movies in a way that I did not before. Movies that really stand out to me still: Ratatouille, Noah Baumbach's Marriage Story, Punch Drunk Love, Paul Thomas Anderson, Life of Pi. Yeah, very yeah. I feel like that does enough to give an insight as to the type of movies I like. So yeah.
Valid, valid. All great choices. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It does definitely takes something like finding, I guess, the writing process to make you fully understand, I guess, yeah, movies in general, but I
Yeah,
guess
I think that,
the deep
every time I
love.
watch a movie, I'm always thinking about, like, who wrote it or like, what it must have been like to write it,
Mhm.
and I think that really informs my taste in movies, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like I honestly care less about visuals or acting performances rather than I do good dialogue
Mhm.
or the way that a plot really, like, unfolds. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's totally valid. We all have our different little avenues and specific areas where it
Mhm.
really captures us, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about this medium so much, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. And
So,
we
should we talk about how we met?
Oh,
Or
we wanna jump right into that?
well, yeah, well, I feel like that's a good just, like, what I'm doing here in the first place, no?
Yeah, no, let's do it. Do you wanna take charge on this one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So, I moved to Irvine, California from Arizona, at the age of 9. Uh, Came to this new school in 3rd grade, and there was a program in that 3rd grade class where we had to write pen pal notes to a student from another school that was local.
Mhm.
And once a month we would write letters and then get a letter back. And at the end of the school year, we would meet our pen pal finally. And to this day, I have like handfuls of letters talking about Skylanders and Spider-Man and just like all these drawings. And they were all addressed to and sent from a Justin Choi.
All these things that are most important to a 3rd grader.
Yes, and I don't know, looking back at it today is so crazy that, we would never not talk to each other until 7th grade, where we would go to the same middle school.
Um,
I would hear that name. I realized recently that I have the best memory ever, and I was like, "I know that name. That is my 3rd grade pen pal." And lo and behold, it was my 3rd grade pen pal, and since then, we've just been, like, best friends ever since.
which is insane because at the time, I was so thrown off because he came up to me and was like, "Are you Justin Choi that went to blah, blah, blah this elementary school?" And I was like, "How do you know who I am? Why are you just coming up to me like this?" Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't scared, but I was definitely a little
Put
thrown
off.
off, yeah. And, yeah, it's just I was so impressed by his memory of that, and I don't know if it was after that point or, like, maybe a few years later, I found my own letter that he had sent to me, which is crazy that I still have it, like, in really good shape, and it's in
Yeah.
a box in my room.
And I honestly, I'll be honest, because we did meet each other in 3rd grade, but I don't remember it at all. Like, I just remember vaguely what you looked like,
Mhm,
and I was like, "This guy," and, like, when I was in 7th grade, I was like, "This guy's probably him," but it could easily not be,
mhm.
and I don't know, we just yeah. And it's so funny to think that we were only really ever in the same school for 2 years, but we've been friends for way longer than those 2 years,
Yeah,
right?
because we went to different high schools, and we all had to
We are
go
well
away
into
for
college
yeah,
now,
we had to go
so
away for college, but
yeah.
it never really affected or changed our relationship, and, how I met Kavin is how we met our other I guess our 3rd,
Our 3rd who's
one
not
third
here
of
today.
us, yes.
Yeah.
Shout out Maddie, um,
Madeline.
our other best friend who we've all been best friends since early middle school, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's where we are today.
That's our origin story. But
Yeah.
yeah, I moral of the story is life works in crazy ways, and the people who you end up closest to, you might never expect it.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, and if you are a 3rd grader or know a 3rd grade class, you should strongly recommend that they do, like, a pen pal thing. 'Cause, think of all the friends who won't be friends anymore now that they don't do that anymore,
No, but they're getting rid of that tradition.
which sucks.
Yeah, it's becoming archaic now.
It's crazy.
Paper, not
Yeah,
an
paper
email.
notes, what?
Yeah, gross, gross, gross. Anyway, before we move on to like an actual discussion, I want to ask you again.
Mhm.
What's been some of your favorites this year,
Ooh, okay,
music or
honestly,
movie wise?
I'll be honest, I'm kind of the worst, like, show watcher, but, we uh, I don't know if I don't really I never really okay, no, yeah, I'll start with movies.
Yeah,
I really did like Furiosa. That was pretty good.
hell yeah.
A lot of honestly, it's been a summer of very good movies. Challengers was pretty good. Civil War wasn't good, I'd say, but it was fun. I enjoyed Inside Out too. One thing about me, I love Pixar. It takes a lot for me to hate a Pixar movie. I did find Inside Out 2 very good. I found it to be a very good portrayal of anxiety.
I disagree, but that can be another conversation.
Yeah, that's fine.
I also love Pixar, but
Inside Out never resonated with you,
yeah,
right?
and from our previous episode I mentioned it. Yeah, recent Pixar hasn't been doing it for me,
Ooh,
but that's
could
okay.
we could we Oh, I will say, okay, TV. It ended in 2024, so it counts, but The Curse
Oh
with
shit,
the
yeah.
Safdie, that was Josh Safdie? No, Benny Safdie.
Yes.
Benny Safdie and Nathan Fielder, classic.
Emma
I
Stone.
feel like not enough people have watched it. I feel like it's not the most accessible show. It's on
Oh no.
Paramount Plus. You should definitely catch up on it if you're a fan of either of those people's work.
Mhm.
Um, Asides from that,
And it's one where you have to kind of see the entire piece
yeah.
before you can judge it. Like
Oh,
I hate when people say that, but it's one of those.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't make itself really apparent to you until its final season finale. But yeah.
No spoilers, but you will never guess what's coming.
Yeah, another movie that I was really into that I wanted to get people into, I will rep
Yes.
Kill by Nikhil Nagesh Bhatt. It's a Hindi movie. If there was a lot of craze for Monkey Man, I would say that this movie puts Monkey Man really in its place
Wow.
as like a hitman. Uh, what's it called? What's a Keanu Reeves movie? John Wick, like a John Wick type movie.
Yes.
Everyone should watch it if they can. Don't let the subtitles bother you. If you're not really into like if you have are not into actually I don't want to say anything, but if you were into John Wick movies, I strongly recommend the movie Kill. Um I don't know where it'll be out when it's not in theaters, but that is probably one of the best movies I've seen all year.
Nice.
Um and then really quickly, music. McGee's album. He is a guitarist that was associated with Dijon, the indie artist. I think it's called Two Star and the Dream Police. That album is probably my favorite of the year. I got tickets to see him live. Everyone should check him out. The new Claro album is also very good.
Yes, we've been bumping that all week.
Bumping it literally all week.
Are you seeing the artists that you just mentioned? Are you seeing them soon, or is that
In
something you want to?
October.
Oh, October.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice.
Very great, great guitarist, great vocalist. Best albums of the summer currently is tied with the Kaytranada album and Brat,
Hell
which
yeah.
everyone's been having a Brat summer. But
We've
yeah,
been on that brat summer.
and I feel like that's it. I don't know. Yeah.
That is a great look into you
Mm-hmm.
and who you are and what you look like
One
on
thing.
the inside.
Oh, sure. One thing we wanted to talk about for a little bit was The Boys season 4 now.
Oh yeah. I guess that can be our final conversation piece before a larger discussion. I
Yeah.
know
Oh wait,
long.
actually, do you want to go into what else you've been watching this year? I feel like you've been talking about it the whole or in other episodes of the podcast. But if there's anything else you wanted to talk about that you were into this year
um
since the last episode.
yeah, but I think I mentioned everything pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing Smiling Friends rewatches. That's been
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite things this year.
Great
Season
show.
2, amazing. Let's see. I've been enjoying House of the Dragon. I am blanking on some things. Let's pull up the Letterboxd.
Oh, really quick before the new JPEG Mafia album that's coming who knows when is gonna be great. His singles for it have been keeping me alive summer, like all summer.
Mm,
Sin Miedo is his best song in years. So
hmm.
everyone should check that out.
Yes. And I'd say, I mean, we mentioned it in our discussion episode, but Kinds of Kindness has
Mm.
been one of my favorite things this year. And the Wim Wenders film, Perfect Days, is still my favorite film of the year so far. Everyone go check that out. It's not going to be for everyone, but suck it.
Yeah. I
It's
will say Kinds of Kindness was not for me, but I appreciated
that one too.
aspects of it. I didn't really like it that much until I
Mhm.
watched your guys' episode about it. And I was like, wait, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad to hear that. For all the normies out there, I like Dune 2 a lot, so check out Dune 2,
Yeah, that's
which I'm sure
probably
you all have.
yeah, probably also another best movie this year.
Yes. All right. Yeah, let's talk about The Boys
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. What has been your kind of overall thoughts of the season? I mentioned last time.
So yeah, I don't know if this is a popular opinion, but and it wasn't really opinion I had before season 3, but season 3 really kind of nailed that like the structure of the show kind of is oh, Homelander's getting more powerful and the boys are going to get more powerful and stakes are going to keep mounting up and mounting up. And
Yes.
then the next season starts and it's like, oh, and then they're going to get more powerful and more powerful and then something's going to happen and oh, now they're at odds again and they're going to keep getting more powerful. But be this season being the penultimate season, it
Yes.
really did feel like ooh, the tension's finally breaking. And it really didn't feel like that until like the last 2 episodes. And
Uh-huh.
I feel like we are at a great place for season 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand your thoughts on that. I'm someone who just really enjoys this world and the characters, so when it meanders and just kind of takes its time, I really don't mind that.
Mhm.
And I've seen just discourse around that's been people's biggest issue with season 4 is that the characters are just kind of all over the place and it doesn't seem like there's a clear build up. I mean, I don't know. to me, it seems like there is a very clear build up
Mhm.
and like goal that it's building towards. And yeah, where it ends this season is unexpected and also crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really feels like a lot of our characters are kinda put through the ringer this season.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Starlight and, Huey go through some levels of hell that I don't think they've ever really witnessed before, and then all of that to kind of end in just like
Spoilers for The Boys, by the way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Season 4.
I should we go like, I'm kind of trying to keep it a little more vague,
But
but
now that I've said it, we have to talk about it.
but yeah, just like the just Huey's dad and then Tech Knight and then the shapeshifter. It's just like he was not really getting any and then Victoria too. Like it's just he was not getting any.
Did him dirty
Yeah,
this
they did him
season.
super dirty.
Yeah.
And Billy finally just kind of like going bad,
Mhm.
Breaking Bad, honestly. It felt like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
It's scary. Like
Having
it's truly
his
scary.
Fight Club moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's scary in a way that I've been waiting for this show to be scary.
Mhm.
Like it feels like something's finally gonna snap.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna spoil the comic books for anyone who hasn't read it, but I'm just gonna say it definitely seems like it's heading in a similar direction. But what I like is that they're actually building to it naturally
Mm.
and for it to be satisfying if those beats play
You
off.
know what? You're so right. Because I think in the moment, I think if I was watching a show like Breaking Bad while it
Yeah.
was coming out, I would probably feel that way where it's like, oh, every season starts the same way that the last one ends. Like no stakes really build.
Yeah.
And then by the time you watch the whole show in its entirety, you're like, oh my God, like what a journey.
Mhm.
I think that this show will feel like Breaking Bad
Yeah.
by the end of it. So maybe I'm being too mean.
And you briefly mentioned Newman. I think that was a really good switch up for Butcher to just basically come in and offer because I mean, she's been one of the main antagonists
Yeah.
and for her
To me, it was really good because this show kind of felt overwhelming with how many antagonists it was,
yeah.
and for one of the antagonists just to just absolute like, out of nowhere, just murk the other antagonist was so scary,
Yeah.
and I think they
Destroyed.
Billy this season was great because I really didn't expect like, I think the probably one of the best Billy scenes is when Ryan goes against Homelander and stops filming the thing, and
Yeah.
he talks to his, like, little red devil, and I forget what his name is, the guy he's hallucinating.
Kessler,
Yeah,
Jeffrey Dean
Kessler, and he's
Morgan.
like, "See, like, I told you." He's like, "This is why I have faith."
Mhm.
And then that just all goes down the drain in that last episode.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's actually terrible, but yeah.
Jeez, there's so much to talk about. I
Yeah.
do wanna mention A Train has had a really great
But where
co
was he?
in the finale?
Yeah.
I'm just talking season overall, but
Okay,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
he's had a very interesting, quiet character arc through the entire show,
Yeah,
and I feel like at this point, it's built up to a really great
it
place.
was so funny when he actually does a good heroic deed
Yeah.
that the reaction on Twitter was like, "Oh, he's dying this season."
Mhm.
And he's not dead, but he also was nowhere.
He's definitely dead early season 5.
Yeah, but I'm glad we have him for a little longer. I think
Yeah.
the amount of more redeeming moments we can get out of characters like A Train will make me happy.
Yeah, it's because it was a character arc to where I didn't really see clearly what they were going for until he had the switch to
Yeah.
becoming a good guy this season, and it felt very earned and natural, and I felt the emotional beats.
Mhm.
Yeah, when he has that save and he talks about it with Mother's Milk and is like,
Mhm.
"That felt like the best thing I've done, better than anything that Vought has made me do."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really do think that the deaths of all of the original 7, like,
Mhm.
someone should really do, like, a tier list of them because I think that by the time the show ends, like, all of the original 7 would have had great deaths that, like, serve the plot in such a great way.
Yeah.
I think Queen Maeve's is an incredible one.
She's still
Um
alive.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's in hiding. No, a lot of people forget about that, but
Oh,
she's
what?
yeah, she's
Okay.
just absent this season.
Well, okay, but that's, like, a metaphorical death.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
cool if she comes back.
yeah.
Noir 1 death is great.
Yeah,
Lamplighters is great. The invisible guy is great.
yeah, translucent.
I hope okay, maybe this is a hot this is a hot take, but if the show ends and the Deep is still alive, that'll be so, so great. That'll be so funny. I think it'll
Dude,
be so annoying.
the
Like
peak. Have you seen that, like, group, like, sect of people who are, like, basically romanticizing him and looking at him as like an alpha.
Any take the worst dude and like the worst man in any like piece of media where the whole point is that they're supposed to be a bad person.
Yeah.
Chances are there's a subculture of people that romanticize that person and want to be him and is like, he's just like me for real.
Andrew Tate, our former president. Yeah.
American Psycho?
Oh yeah, Patrick Bateman.
Patrick Bateman.
You all are sick. You make me sick.
Yeah. Like what is so he's just like me about a man that doinks his octopus? Like you guys need help.
Yeah, and last thing before we move on, we can't forget to mention how surprisingly relevant this show is, and
Oh,
that caught me so off guard. I mean, I
yeah.
guess they've always been doing this satire political angle, but just how scarily real
It's
it's
for like it's
felt.
giving The Simpsons a run for its money, how
Yeah.
much they predict it before it even happens. I don't know if people know about this, but the finale of the show, the original title for it was Assassination Run.
Mm-hmm.
And literally 3 days before the show or
Yeah.
before
We
the
don't even
season
have to like
runs,
name it, but we know what everyone's talking about.
there's an event that happens that kind of made it not like it made it a little scarily too similar to a current event where they had
Yes.
to change it to just The Boys season 4 finale.
A certain
Um,
political figure and a assassination attempt.
yeah, and it
Attempt
was just so
in big
funny.
quotes.
It's just so funny how this show continues to be very, very timely
Mm-hmm.
and in a way where it's like so on the nose about its politics, but also like not ever, not ever really like frustrating or annoying. Like I think that it always has the best to say. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Yeah, it
great
always strikes like the right balance where you can tell
of
what they're
satire
going
and
for,
exactly.
but you don't have to look too deep into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to
What would
the
you
final season.
what would you give this season like a rating out of 10?
Yeah, we should do a rating. I would give it. I didn't really think about this. I'd give it either a high 7 or a solid 8. I'm like in between those two ratings. I definitely like season 3 more. It was missing this season was missing a few key elements like Soldier Boy.
Mhm.
But otherwise I still really enjoyed it and I think there's a chance I could like it more after I see what they were building up to.
Yeah, I think my
Your
favorite
turn.
season is season 2. If season 2 is like a 9,
Mhm.
high 8, this one's like a 7,
Yeah.
7.5. But across the board, the show is probably like 8.
Yeah.
So yeah, very excited to see what happens in season 5.
Yeah. In like what? Like 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Dude. What happened to yearly TV shows?
I mean, I'm fine with it. Let them take their time, but I hope I don't forget everything that happened this season before the next one does.
You didn't watch Gen V?
Oh, I did not.
I think we're gonna get more Gen V before the
Oh,
final season.
I'll probably get caught up with that then.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about music, some music, an actual discussion.
Mhm.
And it's really funny that the episode that we finally talk about music again is the one I kicked Joshua off.
Sorry, Joshua.
My bad. Yeah. Do you want to kind of introduce this one?
Yeah, we are talking about Bando Stone and the New World by Childish Gambino. This is his first album since 2020. That was the original, I think was
Untitled album.
yeah, it was the untitled album. The name of it was the date that it came out, and then he kind of remixed it and rehashed it and then made it Ata Vista and released that this year. And
He said, "Time for the remix."
yeah, he said time for the remix, hardly changed it. It was just as good after the remix and announced that this album, along with its movie counterpart, is going to
Yeah.
be the final album under the Childish Gambino name.
Boom, boom,
Kind
boom.
of crazy, especially as someone who, I because the internet was like the soundtrack of my life when I was in like 3rd or 4th grade because all of my cousins were into it.
Mm-hmm.
And long time Donnie Glover fan. Not that Donnie Glover. Sorry, I should call him Donald. Um
Danny
Yeah, it's
Glover
just
with the Lethal Weapon.
it's just like an insane thing to realize, like, wow, I'm old. I'm 20 years old, and there is a one final Childish Gambino album.
Shit, I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
I'm old, you're old.
You're
Is there
old.
anyone else here that isn't old?
Um, but yeah, and nothing really came out about it beforehand. It's not like he hasn't been doing anything in the past 4 years. Within that, within in between last album and this album, he wrote 2 TV shows. He finished
Oh
Atlanta.
yeah, man's been working.
He's been working. I think he's been acting here and there,
Yes.
and he's always been doing something. So the last thing we really expected was, or at least the last thing that I really expected, was a final album or
Mhm.
an album at all. You know, I would say that after Because the Internet, he kind of just, if you look at his projects after Because the Internet and kind of Kawhi or Cowie, I forgot to say it. um, he's
Cowie.
he's just kind of been doing his own thing, right?
Yeah.
Like all of his albums are literally just like, the thing about Childish Gambino is I feel like Because the Internet was so good because it felt like he was rapping like he had something to prove,
Mhm.
and it felt like he kind of proved it, or I don't want to say that he lost it, but he was just so good at so many things that he put his effort into all these different things that it's not that music became a side thought, it just became more of like a passion project. I
Yeah.
really do think that Awaken My Love is a great album, but it feels like a like nothing he's doing to like push any boundaries
Mhm.
that aren't personal. Like it's
Mhm.
just him making something because he likes it.
Yeah.
And it proves to be very commercially successful.
Mhm.
Um Commercially successful. Like people love Redbone and Me and Your Mama, but I would say that I mean he's always been kind of like a, with critics he's been kind of a mixed review artist.
Yeah.
I to this day love Because the Internet. I will accept a lot of people's criticisms for it, and I will respond that I do not care. A lot of people find his rapping style corny. A lot of people think he's too self-righteous or like too deep. I think it's fun. I think that he's never he's always like he really, you can tell that he cares about his craft, but he really just wants you to have fun with it. I would say that like some of his most fun songs are the ones where he just like kind of lets it all loose. So,
Oh yeah, I agree
yeah.
with everything you just said. Yeah, because the internet, one of my favorite albums of all time. His ranges and just what he experiments with in that album specifically is like
Mhm.
unlike anything I'd heard initially, and still to this day, I think it's one of the best out there
Yeah.
in his specific genre.
Yeah, and I feel like we should talk about why we wanted to do this episode together. I feel like Gambino has been a very important artist for us, like in our friendship.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think that like songs off of Camp we know like by heart, and we have known since like 7th or 8th grade.
Mhm.
Like it's just songs that like when we both first got cars, we would play in the car and we would all yell together. I drove Justin and our other friend Maddie to their winter formal, and we were just blasting these songs like off the
Hell
top.
yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like we will do that for the rest of our life.
Yeah, one of my
So
earliest memories in like the first year of our friendship is you showing me Redbone and Bonfire specifically. And I always mark, I guess, my introduction and discovery of Gambino
Mhm.
as like a pivotal point in, I guess, my music experience.
Yeah.
I was not very well versed in music at the time,
Yeah.
and I think he definitely, Kavin and Gambino in general, opened me up to this side of
Pause.
music
Yeah.
and like experimentation within not only rap and hip hop, but like music in general.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've always had such huge respect for the guy. He genuinely can do anything. Like he raps, he sings, he writes, he acts, does stand up.
Mhm.
Like there's
He's
nothing
so
this man
funny.
can't
Yeah,
do.
it really is just inspiring, and I think people, it's really funny because any like one specific thing, there are so many like commentary videos about it, about how Gambino's kind of like an outsider to hip hop,
Mhm.
and I think that at times people found him like an outsider to R&B or like just like acting. Like they'd be like, "Oh, why is this singer acting?" Or "Why is this guy that was on 30 Rock and Community like acting in
Dirty
serious
Rock.
roles?"
Uh-huh.
That's what I like. No, bro. Um, and, like, it always felt like he was a, like, jack of all trades, but no master of none.
Mhm.
But if you just look at, like, all of his, like, eras and every single thing that he put his effort into, it's just, like, I don't know, it's just to this day so inspiring that there is someone who really put their all into this many different things and really excelled at all of them. Maybe he wasn't welcomed, but I think that he really just paved the way for so much just fun music and culture
Yeah.
just from all of his little endeavors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Moral of this story, you can put your eggs in lots of baskets and sometimes
it'll
they'll
work
become
out.
chickies.
Exactly.
That's what I took away.
They'll become chickies.
Anyway, though, that was our kind of Gambino side note history.
Overview. Mhm.
How do we feel about this actual new Bando Stone and the New World album?
So I don't know. So it's I will say that the last album, Ada Vista Now, I'll just call it that, was definitely a grower. There were songs on it that I think it's really funny that he purposefully made them kind of hard to listen to. There were no song titles, nothing. Every song had a timestamp.
Mhm.
He had so many features that he didn't credit. Ariana Grande's on it. Kaja's on it. 21 Savage is on it. Summer Walker, Young Nudie, and he never really like featured them or like credited them. And I feel like after a few years, people realize like, wait, Childish Gambino has this incredible 6 minute, like really jazzy, soothing R&B song where he like does his like little high pitched rasp voice, and it has such a great 21 Savage like feature on it. And I
Yeah.
think this album could be the case, like a similar case where people will only really, and people including me, will only really fully enjoy it or appreciate it in like a year after it comes out.
Mhm.
But more than anything, I really do feel like this man is hitting unk status with this album. It's such a funny album to go off, like to like just end with because it's not really grandiose. It's kind of all over the place. There's so many things that he takes, like genres that he takes stabs at.
Mhm.
Some work, some don't. He doesn't really have any like, oh, it like when I imagine a final Gambino album, I want it to have like pay homage to this era of his life. Like I want him to do features like with Chance the Rapper, like how he did. It doesn't really have any of that. It's just
Yeah.
kind of
Unexpected.
yeah, it's just him doing whatever. But I will say that the best part of it is that he keeps it like a summer album.
Yeah.
This is he's kind of been Mr. Summer album. I would say Camp because of the internet, Kawaii,
And
um,
then that summer pack that he did was, I feel like, the initial
they
tease, cock tease
yeah, his summer pack is
of
is
what was to
incredible.
come.
Yeah.
Pause.
Um
And but yeah, and honestly, as much as that is kind of like a bit, like that's kind of been the sentiment. Like he is hitting that unk status,
mhm.
but it's not an insult. Like he's not like an Eminem type artist where he's clinging on to the glory days.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
He's
definitely
kind
not.
of still evolving in ways.
And just I feel like the biggest part is like he's having fun with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like where I said that he would kind of was like rapping like he had something to prove on because of the internet.
Mhm.
Here he's just rapping to like to rap.
Yeah.
I think he knows the way that people have the reception of his rap and how people have found him corny or have considered him an outsider. And I think he's like, okay. And he's just making the music he wants to make. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll get into it. But
Yeah.
I still I have a lot to appreciate of this album.
Yeah. And either way, I still find that very commendable
Mhm.
that he's not taking his quote unquote final album as like a chance to make a huge statement. He just
Yeah.
wants to keep doing what he's doing, like what
Mhm.
he loves, and having fun with it. And if people aren't into that, that's okay because he's doing what brings him joy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you said did you say At La Vista was you said it was a grower, right?
Definitely. I still do think that like the songs I don't like, I still don't like, but the songs that I was like iffy about, all of them have turned into classics. I love Littlefoot Bigfoot.
Mhm.
I can't say the name. The Millennial Love, the 21 Savage one. Algorithm is good. To Be Hunted is great. Like it really doesn't feel like songs that he has made before, and they're
Mhm.
still just so great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this will Band of Stone will probably be a similar one.
Yeah. So you're, what you're saying is that one was a grower and not a shower.
Do I
But
have to say that? Do I have to? Sure, sure. Yeah. If it
dude,
makes you so happy, Justin. I will say
Anytime anyone says that, I have to say that. I said that. I think I literally said that last episode with Joshua.
someone should do like a super cut of every time by the time you guys are like 100 episodes deep of all the times you say something is a grower and a shower, not a shower.
It's gonna keep happening. But yeah, I guess those are our brief
Like
preview
overview thoughts,
thoughts.
yeah.
But do we want to
We
jump
can go
into the
track by track.
track by track?
I will say this will kind of go fast. I feel like a lot of tracks we don't have a lot to say.
Bro, we can go track for
We
track.
can go yeah for yeah. Okay. So first one is Hearts Were Meant to Fly. The font of it is all crazy and it's all caps.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very like, oh, I'm edgy. And
I'm an edgelord.
to me it felt like a strange intro to the album because it's a type of sound that really only shows up again for like 3 other songs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of confusing. Like the abrasive style reminds me of like The Party
Mm-hmm.
from Because the Internet, but like not better. And there's like pitch vocals. It just felt very clunky to me.
Mm-hmm. I'd say I'm not as I don't come down as hard as when it doesn't feel like it reflects the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, yeah, I do dig the kind of insanity, the
Mm-hmm.
energy. It feels, yeah, like the party,
Mm-hmm.
almost like I don't know if this is just the most basic term, but like Kanye-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm into it. It is. I agree. It's a weird place to start this
Mm-hmm.
album specifically on.
Yeah.
But
But something I was gonna wait until later to say, but I think I'll say now, is that there's probably so many things that don't make sense in this album that it will probably make sense in the context of the motion picture movie that this album is accompanied with.
yeah.
Like I think a lot of these songs are gonna play. You can tell that there's like I wasn't paying attention to like a story or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but there are like clips of like dialogue and like parts where he's playing the character Bando Stone.
Yeah.
And
Very
so
interesting.
maybe it'll make sense, but right now, like standalone as it stands by itself, strange to me, but nothing new. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have to mention that. I have to mention this at least.
Mhm.
This isn't his first like forte into like a kind of half music
Mhm.
and half film.
Oh yeah, you can talk. Yeah.
Um, I just want to quickly mention it, but it
Mhm.
was it called Guava Island?
Yeah, Guava
Yeah.
Island. It
He
was a
was
straight to
working.
Amazon movie.
That's correct, and he was working with Hiro Murai, who he collabs very often with, Atlanta especially. And that one did not work for me super well.
Mhm.
It just felt very unfocused and like it didn't know whether it wanted to be a music project or a narrative film project.
Yeah.
But that was just me. Did you see this?
I did. So it had all of the songs that the summer pack included, right?
Summer Pack, and there was I remember there being a lot of This Is America focus.
Yeah. And it came out the same year as This Is America, and it was, I would say, like a fourth as good. It was just so unfocused.
Yeah.
But I think this one's different because this one's like a proper movie that
Movie
he like
movie.
is like making like a like it felt like the movie was built around the songs. Whereas this one, I mean, I don't know yet, but it feels like the songs could be built around the actual movie.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
the name of the album is literally like what the movie's going to be called, and you like there's pieces of dialogue in
Yeah.
the songs. So yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see
yeah.
when it releases. But yeah, let's keep going.
Hmm.
Track 2.
Lithonia. So
Yes.
this was the first single that came out. I wasn't wowed by it immediately, but it's so orchestral and grand, and
Mhm.
like just the heavy hitting like nobody gives a fuck is
Yeah.
just like just the repeating of it.
Yeah, I've been
I've
liberated.
been liberated. Was it under medicated?
Yeah.
Over medicated?
Over
Over
medicated.
medicated? Just like it's great.
Yeah,
And
this one hits, and I feel like this is the proper like setting the stage for this album.
yeah,
Right off the bat, I have to say this. I think it's my favorite track.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the vocabulary that like Joshua does to talk about production,
Mhm.
but this one just sounds so grand
Yeah.
and it's just great.
Yeah, there's the perfect balance of those crazy like bombastic Gambino tones
Mhm.
and then the kind of quieter speaking to you and kind of comedic playful bits
Yeah.
that I think it all blends really well together.
Mhm.
And yeah, this is a great track.
All right, the next one was Survival. all I re this one was just like it feels like another classic Gambino.
Mhm.
Nothing to like, nothing to hate, and I feel like this is probably one of the potential growers. But yeah, just like kind of like the more simple summery vibe.
Grower, not showers. You just keep saying it.
Sorry, it'll come up
Um,
so many more
but
times.
that's crazy. I that's exactly what I wrote in my notes. Classic Gambino vibes
Mhm.
and the
We share
most
the same brain sometimes.
we do. Hive mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most kind of summer energy, I'd say, with the intro
Mhm.
tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next one was Steps Beach. I okay, what did you think? I kind of found this one like a little too generic. Like the I think the guitar in it is just like it felt like very campy and like tongue in cheek that he was doing such like a goofy little song.
Mhm.
But yeah, I kind of found it like kind of it was fun, but it felt like unfinished and the lyrics were all right.
This one doesn't like annoy me or anything too much.
Mhm.
I enjoy it. I think it's nice that he's like slowing down,
Mhm.
and I always appreciate that pace change with
Yeah.
albums,
Yeah.
and it feels very in line with his recent R&B focused like streak, I'd say.
Mhm.
So yeah, I enjoyed this one. It's not anything too stand out, but it fits in line with the vibes
Yeah.
of the album. Yeah.
And then the
So
next one
no,
is Steps Beach, right? Or no.
sorry.
Talk My Shit.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, this is probably my second favorite, but I am just like I've been a longtime fan of Flo Milli and a very recent new fan of Emma. I love how much she just sounds like a toddler. Like she just brings like this level of just
Baby.
fun, like yeah, like the baby voice. It reminds me of 645 AR if anyone remembers that deep cut um reference, but it's just like such a it was such a fun little like back and forth between them. I feel like this style of like trappy pop rap was kind of a great development for Gambino because he hasn't really like made like a fun hip hop song in a long time
Mhm.
that really like was like just having fun with itself that I think that critics would talk about as like not real hip hop. And it just reminded me of like kind of his old stuff. He just there's like the Amayo Emo Shinderu like anime meme like sound happens in this
Oh, that's
song
right.
and like there's like a KO in it and it's just like him having fun. And I do kind of think that like Emery and Flo Milli are like modern day savants of this like fun poppy hip hop genre that he is very aligned with. So it was just like a great partnership and
Yeah.
I this is probably one of my more favorite ones.
I would agree. It's definitely my favorite features on this album.
Mhm.
And while he's very much like kind of fucking around, like it feels like he's returning to classic Beano with the intense rap and very dynamic flows, very
Mhm.
intense lyrics.
But with like a cool new sound with just like the trap.
Oh
The
yeah.
trap, yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's just some of the best energy on this entire album.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you can don't see how you can really complain with
Yeah.
that
And then the next one is Got
unless you
to
hate
Be.
baby voice.
Yeah, the baby voice. So Gotta Be. I found this one similar to Hearts Were Meant to Fly. There were like these cool 80s synths in it
Mhm.
that were pretty sick. Aside from that, I think I'm not a fan, like, in this day and age, now I'm not, like, 10 years old. I don't like the industrial crazy production that he does in this album specifically. It feels, like, not really aligned with his other like, with the rest of the album, but I am being kind of like a harsh critic with that one.
It's okay. Yeah, it's solid. I guess kinda how you felt about Step's Beach. It's a solid track, there's nothing too stand out.
Yeah.
I appreciate the really cool flow switch to
Yeah.
these more demonic, I guess, intense vocals.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's nothing, like, too stand out. It's definitely another pace changer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real Love was very interesting. All I wrote down for this one is it's so crazy that this song exists. I remember it being just like kind of like a generic similar pop vibe that Gambino hasn't really like taken a stab at. It feels like it does kind of feel like a movie soundtrack. Like it feels
Mhm.
like this is a song that I would hear. It kind of reminded me of like Tizo Touchdown songs where he's just doing this, like, weird alt rock sound that's just I don't know, it kind of worked, but I found it a little too cheesy, but
I wasn't huge on it either. This
yeah.
one is the first track where it felt kind of out of place,
Yeah.
and I was like, it's not terrible, but I was a little thrown off.
Yeah. Okay, and then the next one is In the Night with, Georgia Smith and Amaarae again.
Yeah.
So great that he's putting on Amaarae. She also made an album, either last year or this year, that is great, so I'm glad that she's getting the attention she deserves. This one to me was the most, like, Because the Internet
Mhm.
and kinda like Cowie era, and it was just I don't know. Great features, great vocals, great production all around. Very
Yes.
happy with it.
Yeah, I'm glad that Emery's back on here.
Mhm.
Some of the best vibes and ambiance here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of my favorite vocals from Gambino here. So yeah, I very much appreciated this one.
Mhm. The next one was Yoshinoya. What did you think of this one?
This is one of my favorite ones, honestly.
Mhm.
I like we said about was it was Talk My Shit?
Talk My Shit, that
Yeah.
was, yeah, the other
Yeah.
similar one.
Some of my favorite energy
Mhm.
is going on here. I think it's some of my favorite lyrics and switch ups that he has,
Yeah.
and it's another very classic Gambino sounding one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, all I wrote for this one was real unk song, real hip hop shit. This one to me sounds like what I mean by he was just kind of rapping for himself, like rapping for fun. Like there's no more like stuff to prove.
Yeah. He
The
knows what's
first
up.
song is just that's my or that the first lyrics is that's my brother, don't you know it? I stuck around like Yoshinoya, and then
Uncle is uncling.
yeah, he is seriously uncling, just talking about whatever he wants. Um, and yeah, it was just like, yeah, it's the lines like, "This is a code red for old heads who never like my short shorts or pro kids." He's just like, "This is my last album. If you didn't like my stuff, like here, like
It's
I'm
too late.
done. If
Yeah.
you did like my stuff, like this is for you." It was just fun. I don't know. I really am here for now is just him having fun.
Yeah, they're
Yeah. Can You Feel Me?
oh boy.
Okay. I want you to start
You
first
want me to
for this
start?
one, yeah.
All right.
So, well, I wanna say so me and Justin sat and watched this first, and we were like, "Oh, this one's featuring Legend." Like John
Who is the
Legend?
legend?
And we were like, "No." So who is the legend? And then the song plays, and, it's like a little kid. So, yeah, what were your thoughts on it?
Yes, we discovered this is Donald's son,
Yeah.
Legend Glover, and this is the first track where I really had a strong opinion about it. I do not like this one. It is cheesy as hell. Why? Like Gambino straight up northwested his
I
son.
know. It's
And I
literally
was just like, why?
no, it's so funny that
For
we're,
what?
like, 2024, we have, what's it called? My Man, Drake's son,
Oh my god.
Adonis, made a little diss track, and he says, "Don't talk to my man like that." And it's funny because "Like That" is the name of the Kendrick song
And then
that
we have
Kendrick
It's Your Bestie, Miss Westy.
and now we have Legend here, and he's talking like, in this song, he's talking about, like, I can't tell if it's a character or not, but he's like, "Yeah, I never knew my grandpa, and I feel like my dad neglected me at times." Like it kind like okay. So when I was listening to Justin, I was like, "What is this?" And then I was listening to the car again, and I'm like, in between, there's vocals, and it's just going A B, C, D, and it goes through the alphabet twice,
Mhm.
and they're just singing through it, and, like, maybe it's, like, Legend's vocals, or it's just maybe their back and forth that they had, and just this, like, A, B, C, D. I felt like I was watching the Lion King, like, live action movie that, like,
Oh
Childish Gambino is also
boy.
in, and it just felt so campy and so stupid, but, like, it really, like something was really resonating with me by just, like, how Disney Channel that this song was sounding. I was like, "This is so cute." And if I had to pick one of the trinity of Northwest versus Adonis versus Legend, I feel like I'm choosing Legend. Like,
He's
they
going
kinda
with the
killed it.
legend.
They kinda killed it.
I'm rapping here with Da, didn't know my papa. Like
That's
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 that's what
literally
I'm
what it
getting here,
is,
bro.
and it's just like it literally just sounds like Mufasa and Simba. Like, it's just so funny.
Oh
Um,
no, Beano's turned into James Earl Jones.
and it's like Dude, I don't know what it is, but I think this one is gonna be a guilty pleasure in the future,
Ah,
and
god
it's
damn it.
and especially because, like, there's vague, like, I haven't really looked deep into, like, his relationship with his son's mom or, like, his son, but, when I first listened to, "Awaken My Love," there's kind of a lot of, like, family-oriented songs,
Mhm.
so it's just cute to have, like, he really does not care if you don't wanna hear his son on a song. Like, he just wants his son to be on a song, and, like, I think that's kinda sweet, and I'm not expecting anyone to agree with me, but I think it's cute.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad because would not like, I totally expect Justin to hate this song, and I totally expect myself to love this song. It's just like the same way that I love Inside Out and this guy hates it, like, it just makes so much
Yeah, people
sense.
know I'm a sentimental guy, but I'm not a sappy guy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I feel like it
I
really takes, like, real brain and, like, intellect to, like, let sappy stuff hit Justin. None of that applies to me. It's like, "Oh, he made a song with his son, that's cute." Like, that's all I really care about. But
oh
yeah,
yeah.
I'm glad we had a song we disagreed on. But the next one
Yeah, don't put a kid on an album. It's not gonna help. It's not gonna help.
do it if it's your last album and your whole point is that you don't care what anyone thinks. If
If you're Drake, do it because I don't care what you're doing.
yeah. Yeah, he can put it on us on more songs. Alright, so the next song is the 7 minuter, No Excuses. And for me, there were no excuses for this song to be a 7 minuter. It is it is it is truly there's so many other songs that switch up the beat and like kind of have a crazy transformation throughout it. Like Real Love does, honestly. Gotta Be. I don't like the production, but it like transforms. Um, this one had no excuse. Like it sounds kind of the exact same the whole time. Um,
Very good stinger.
yeah,
That's awesome.
that's all I had to say.
That's all you had to say? Okay. Definitely I can get behind that, and it's definitely one of the just most quiet, atmospheric, reserved tracks.
Hmm.
But once again, I really like the pace changers,
Yeah.
and I can appreciate that he's slowing down. And I've been getting really into like very synth heavy, very I guess shoegazy music.
Hmm.
And so I'm this kind of speaks to me.
Hmm.
Like I can always get down with just good instrumentals and switch ups. Yeah, narrative transformation
Hmm.
or sorry, instrumental transformation. So yeah, I enjoyed this one.
Good. I'm
There
glad you
was
did.
there was an excuse for me.
Good. There was no excuse for the next one, however. Cruising featuring
Dude, on
Yeet.
God, holy shit.
Um, okay, it was cute. Like it's a nice song and it's like kind of slow and it like some you can tell something's about to happen. Boom, Yeet. Beat just switches and it switches to a Yeet beat, a beat, a beat if you will.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, Drake had a Yeet feature on his album and the same exact thing. It was just a Yeet song. Like that sounds exactly like a Yeet song and not like a Drake song, and in this case, not like a Childish Gambino song. Like it was just him rapping by himself.
So he'd be doing this everywhere.
Yeah, and I
Oh
don't
my.
understand why because I think Yeet's a good rapper. I think he's all like I think he's like he has something, but he doesn't have something that like he can provide to other people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? All he can do is just be himself
Yeah.
on like this song. Yeah.
It was
But
very classic Gambino and I was into it.
mhm.
And then full dead stop. I'm a yeet, I'm a come in, I'm a da 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 da. Yeah, like bruh, like
It's like you don't need to be here. Like this until now, we had such good features.
yeah.
And then it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, what did he add to this album? Like
Literally nothing.
literally you could cut his bar, his line,
Mhm.
his lines, and the song would be unchanged, in
Yeah.
my opinion. I don't know. I feel like the defenders are saying other things, but I haven't really
Yeah.
looked into it.
We Are God is the next track. I don't remember much about it. I remember it being slow. It was all right. Like just another like totally passable track. This one could easily grow,
I say
but
the
right
same
now it does
thing.
not show.
Yeah, not too much substance, but
Yeah.
cool vibe. He's good at the vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is Running Around, which I found very interesting. It kind of sounds like a modern day Dominic Fike song, but like an early day, like Green Day alt rock Panic at the Disco
I was
song.
gonna say that too.
It-
I'm getting like Green Day 2000s, like Brendan Urie esque
yeah.
vibes.
It's so funny, and then, I forgot Fushi? She was on the Steve Lacy album. I don't I it's probably like Fouché. I think that's
Not
Fusé.
making fun of the name, I'm just
I just don't know how to say it, I'm sorry.
Fushi.
My favorite part of the podcast when I listen to it is to hear Justin try to pronounce, like, actor names, so this is me getting karma for laughing all the
No,
times.
the confidence
So
is
Fussy.
the confidence is the key to selling.
For sure.
Yeah.
But Fouché, see, I think that's how you say it. She is so fun. Like she's so fun because she raps in this song and like all of her features on other albums. She's on so many other albums and she kind of does the same thing. This one she like raps and has fun. The guitar is fun. The lyrics are like stupid, but like this is the song for it to be stupid. So
Yeah.
I was totally fine with it. It's silly. I don't think I'll revisit it, but
Yeah, this one's a lot of fun, but it's another one where I'm like, it doesn't really fit into,
yeah,
I guess, what I
it
imagined for
sticks
this
out like a
album.
sore thumb for sure.
It sticks out like a yeet thumb
Like a yeet thumb. There's a yeet
or
level
a
thumb
legend
here.
thumb.
Yeah, legend thumb. It definitely is in the same lane as cruising and
Okay, I definitely like this one more than those other two, but yeah,
yeah.
it's maybe the pinky,
Yeah.
and then the other ones are the thumb and the index finger.
So yeah, at this point we're like well over 10 tracks and like I'm kind of
Yes,
getting
sir.
a little like I was like all right, like well, let's see how this wraps up. The next song is Dadvocate. And this was a song that like it just felt like it could have been cut. It didn't really feel like it did anything new that Running Around or No Excuses or like In the Night or Real Love already did better.
Yeah.
Um and I have a feeling that the name Dadvocate is gonna like play into the role of the movie in some way. Like I really do think he's just becoming an uncle. And like this movie is just like him being a like a daddy. Um
No.
yeah.
He's growing up.
He is growing up.
Hmm.
So yeah, nothing much to say. And
Yeah,
then
it's fine. Good instrumentals.
yeah. And then
That's
the
it.
next one is our final feature is Happy Survival with Khruangbin. What did you think of this one?
I'm not familiar with Krongbin, but I on my notes it says godly instrumentals,
Yeah.
immaculate vibes.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think this one's great. There's no it's weird that one of like the nicer, cooler songs is a song with no Gambino vocals
yeah.
because he does have some great vocals, but it's literally from what it sounds like, it sounds very similar to Khruangbin's other music. They kind of make similar like beachy. I wouldn't call it bossa nova, but just like like what you imagine at like Hawaii airport music.
Mhm.
Like kind of like elevator music. It's like it's cute and it's like the perfect length. You can tell that they had fun recording this one.
Mhm.
I have no idea what role Gambino played in this one. He does say like happy survival at the end. And like I don't know. It was cute. It was nice. Listen to Khruangbin if you want.
Yeah, I really appreciate the Krongbin takeover,
Yeah.
and like you said,
You know what it did feel like? It felt like Guava Island.
ooh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it was just I don't know, it was a nice vibe.
yeah, like you said, definitely reflects some of the most like tropical beach
Mhm.
esque vibes, and I like that.
Yeah.
Me likey.
And then finally, at long last, at the end of Bando Stone and the New World, we get to A Place Where Love Goes, which I think thematically I was expecting it to kind of like come full circle where hearts were meant to fly, and then this song is called A Place Where Love Goes. It felt kind of like complete, and the songs themselves are not really standouts. They're not thematic to each other. I thought it was gonna be like a Brat 360 to 365 type thing.
Mm,
Not at all. It's kind of the more like industrial abrasive like post rap type production. But I really do believe that like his style of this type of production and rap has kind of stayed the same for the past 10 years.
yeah,
But by the time, but like, yeah, I was like, this is totally passable as well.
yeah. I think this is a good spot to end.
Hmm.
It feels very experimental with the vocals
Hmm.
and instrumentals during, especially the intro, and that switch to more normal sounding.
Yeah,
It feels smooth and earned. But
exactly.
yeah, that's honestly, I don't have too many thoughts. It's a pretty good track to end on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I mean, that's the album for you. I really do think like some big takeaways, like, um, I don't expect that this is the end of music from Childish Gambino. It feels I think, like, a lackluster end to Gambino,
Yeah.
but we were never really promised, like, a grandiose, crazy end to Gambino. I think his ever since Because of the Internet, his albums have always just been him experimenting and having fun,
Mhm.
so I never really expected anything different from him. Um, I do kind of think that it's hard to formulate a final opinion on this album without the movie of it, but as a standalone, there's some hits, there's some misses, just a standard, like, here and there album. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree to that sentiment. After seeing the movie, seeing this album and the film itself as like one piece,
Mhm.
the One
One
Piece
Piece.
will definitely give
This
me
album is the One Piece.
yeah, it'll definitely give me better insight and better, guess, overview
Mhm.
of this collective piece of Bando Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when, Talk My Shit, the song is, like, a TikTok sound 2 years from now that's, like, going crazy and, like, there's
Oh
5
no.
different, like, original dance choreographies to it, just know that we called it first. Like, this just happens with Gambino albums where these songs get famous, like, a year or 2 after
We
they
were here
release.
first. We put you
We
on.
did put you on. Who put you on? Don't forget who put you on, okay?
All
So
right.
yeah. Should we give a number?
Yes, give ratings.
Right now, it's sitting in between a 6 and a 7 for me, but I imagine that only going up. But yeah, I'm pretty confident with like a 6 or a 7.
6 or 7. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in between.
Mhm.
A low 7 and a solid 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll definitely come back to this one after seeing the film counterpart,
Yeah.
counterpiece, whatever it
But
is.
regardless, I just want to say thank you, Childish Gambino, for making my childhood what it was. You've already done your fill. I think when artists make great albums like Frank Ocean and them, there's like a high demand for them to top it or to keep making stuff. But you know, like if after you make my childhood, just do whatever you want. And like he just did whatever he wanted, and I'm glad he's still doing that and still kicking, because I know that this album and is kind of like the intro to his new like production company or something called Gilga
That's
that
right.
he's like gonna start working on full time. So very excited to see where he goes.
Yes. Gambino, you were there for the years that counted, and you shaped some part of who I am.
Hmm.
So I have to thank you to Gambino spiritually.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's that.
Yeah. That was our discussion on the new Childish Gambino album. In the next segment, we'll be talking about a couple of little movies. What? What's
I'm
so
not
funny?
ready.
Okay. All right, we'll be back. And we're back for our film discussion segment
Thank you
of
guys
the
for
episode.
sticking along for the ride.
Yeah, whoever's out there and you made it to this point, thumbs up. You're cool. Anyway, though, we sat down and we watched a pair of films, that being Crank from 2006 and its sequel, Crank 2000. Oh my god, Crank High Voltage from 2009. And this is a pair of very hyper stylized action films starring Jason Statham. And this is from directors Brian Taylor and Mark Neveldine, often referred to as Neveldine and Taylor. And this is their first kind of like breakout project, I'd say. This
Mhm.
definitely is the one to put them on the map. It might be their first one. Should have got my facts straight, but I
Mhm.
didn't.
Certainly their craziest. I feel like I can't imagine that they're not just known for these 2.
Yeah, they are also known for Gamer starring Gerard Butler and Ghost Rider 2 starring Nick Cage and Mom and Dad also starring Nick Cage. But I would have to say, as someone who's seen most of their work, yes, this is by far their 2 craziest movies. Um,
Very quickly before we preface, I knew nothing about these movies. I had heard about them. I knew vaguely the premise. I had been here just for a few days. I took a red eye from O'Hare to LAX, and then like Justin just plopped me immediately into this crazy, wacky, hypersexual, hyper violent world, and I was running on no sleep, and it was just the like just the craziest 90 minutes of my life.
it's the most, I'd say, as myself the most Justin thing I could have thought to do. Yeah.
Very true.
Full spoilers for these movies. Before we dive in, this is about a professional assassin, Cheb Chelios, who learns his rival has injected him with a poison that will kill him if his heart rate drops. So it's a very anxiety inducing, nonstop action movie that is relentless. And like the plot of this movie, it never takes a breath and it keeps up with the momentum. I really enjoy these two movies. This is, I believe, my third go around watching these. I guess you kind of mentioned it, but what were your overall thoughts of these two?
So I think that the first one was definitely like crazy, right? I just had no idea what to expect, and then boom, you're just put immediately into this insane world with the craziest editing, just the craziest acting. It really feels like its own kind of world. I feel like there's a lot of directors who specialize in like I want to call it like Florida Man media.
Yeah,
And I've never seen Florida Man media like this. I feel like people like Harmony Korine and like Sean Baker really love like humanizing or like kind of taking like an anthropological standpoint on like how these cultures and people actually work. And this one was just felt like these are just insane circumstances and people kind of grounded in real life. Like
mm-hmm.
it takes place in Long Beach, and it really just does feel like the grungy, grimy like parts of like a city. And I don't know, it was I had a great time.
I'm glad to hear that. And honestly, that's a good way to put it. This is the Sean Baker or Harmony Korine of the action raunchy world
Definitely.
because it's hard to describe it and just hear about it, but this is hyper stylization to the max in
Mhm.
every capacity, from the editing, the camera work, just the performances, and the nature of how people act in this world is insane.
Yeah.
from from start to finish.
On Letterboxd, I noticed that you have it like tagged as notably unhinged.
Yes.
And I think that like as someone who has seen as many movies as Justin, it's so funny to point out like this movie as one of like the 20 or so movies that are notably unhinged. Like it truly is like I there's nothing like it.
Yeah, it goes under that catalog of movies in my
Yeah.
brain. But yeah, I guess just quickly kind of going through the plot. Chev, like I mentioned, he wakes up poisoned and he wakes up to a videotape left by, how am I forgetting his name?
Um
It's Ricky Verona
Verona.
and like a little little enemy he's made, and he's like, "Yo, Chelios, I poison your heart." And they always sorry, I'm sorry for anyone who got offended by that, but they always refer to it as "I poisoned you with the Chinese shit."
Yeah.
So that really quickly establishes the tone that
It's
this
like
movie.
immediately like, okay, this is such a deeply early 2000s movie
Yeah.
that like it reminded me of like Rush Hour or like Kung Pao Fist
Yeah.
of just movies that you could not make now.
Yeah, very good time capsule movies. It establishes is establishes is is that a word?
Establishes.
Establishes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is what this movie does to you. Anyway, establishes that this movie does not give a fuck and it will make fun of whoever
Uh-huh.
that it wants to, and they will create characters for any race.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
I feel like the parts of it that I really like, or the parts that so I mean, throughout the whole 90 minutes, which I want to say feel like 30,
Yeah.
it does not feel like 90
Crack.
minutes. I think that's like just how it speaks to how well they execute this premise
Yes.
that like the movie never slows down.
Mhm.
It just keeps going. How many different ways can this guy manage to keep his heart rate up? That's
Gotta
really
keep
just it.
going. Gotta crank that.
And like it doesn't even really matter like what he's doing at any point. It's just like I need to keep my heart rate up. That's all you're really watching it for. It's kind of like a turn your brain off type like situation. But the part that I feel like really resonated with me was just all of its side characters.
Oh yeah.
He has a gay best friend. What's his name?
Kalo.
Yeah, Kalo, who has so many, like, just so many great moments. Um,
It's the most flamboyant Hispanic man you'll ever see. He has this very hilarious montage introduction.
of just like being like a participant of the gay clubbing scene
Yeah.
in a way that like it was kind of nice to see in a movie like this. Like it's just so funny that he just does have like a gay best friend, and like this is someone who accompanies him in his tirade of like revenge.
Yeah, that representation is great, but also knowing that this is 2006
Yeah.
was definitely played to be like, "Oh, haha,
Yeah, it's certainly,
he's
I wouldn't
gay."
say it's done tastefully, but I'd like I want to say for like all of my people who would go into this movie not expecting like portrayals like this, it
Yeah.
is kind of like it's weirdly nice. Like I
Yeah.
think it's like I like his character and I really feel like I could imagine him being kind of like a cult classic favorite or like two people. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, the first thing he does is kinda rush over to this guy he knows called Orlando,
Mhm.
and he leads, like, kind of another gang, and interrogates him, and the first thing he realizes, "Okay, I need to keep my heart up," so he has some coke, sniffs it off the ground, and
And
immediately
starts beating people up.
beating up, but before he does that, he says, "I need to kick some black ass."
Dude, and like
Like, really?
and it feels kind of like this movie was asking to be like to be hated on by the masses. And I don't know. It's hard to balance a tone with like edgy humor, but I really like there is something to be appreciated with this movie that like you just will not see anything like this anymore. Like I think there's a reason why these things don't exist anymore, and it's just so crazy like to see. It's so there's no like nuance or like intellect to its edginess. It's just edgy for the sake of being edgy. And that's like I feel like the best way to put it.
Yeah, and in a state where I feel like edginess is almost, like, at an all-time high,
Mhm.
it's nice to see, like, almost pure edginess
Yeah.
from the 2000s era.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on, he tracks down Ricky Verona's brother and decides he's gonna execute him. He cuts off his hand and takes his necklace and through on his phone calls Ricky,
Mhm.
and he kinda taunts him and is like, "I killed your brother." And
Okay, I killed your brother.
and he's like, "Oh, this is a necklace. You guys really are F slurs, aren't you?" So yeah, another establishing it's a very 2000s movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, that kind of language.
Mhm.
Yeah. My notes are kind of jumbled, but he at some point holds up like a convenience store and like robs it, gets all the caffeine he can to just keep his heart going, keep his heart racing. And he doesn't abduct, he steals a cab from a Middle Eastern man. And then do you wanna explain what
And
happens?
then he kicks out because the Middle Eastern man is like, "I'm not going to like drive you around." So he kicks him out, steals the cab, and yells Al Qaeda, and he yells Al Qaeda, and everyone starts like freaking out and like chastising the Middle Eastern man. It's just the most like post 9/11 like scare like it really truly is this man is doing everything to kick everybody's ass.
Yeah.
That's all this movie is. Just everybody just offend and kill and like just kick ass. That's literally all this movie is doing.
It's kick ass. Yeah. And he ends up holding up a hospital because he's told by his very extravagant doctor friend who's like total video game character. He goes to him for help and he's always doing these crazy like escapades with like hookers and very sexual things. And he's told he needs to find epinephrine, which will simulate what does he say?
Ah.
You know what I'm saying though. Simulates like some form of liquid like stimulation to keep his heart going.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's slipping us, but yeah, epinephrine,
Mhm.
and he's running through the hospital, holds one of the doctors at gunpoint, and it's a very funny, very extreme bit, but this will come back into play in the sequel. But yeah, we'll get back to that.
Uh-huh.
He continues on his little keeping his heart up,
Mhm.
and he resorts to having sex with his partner Eve,
Mhm.
who is straight up just like, I don't know a better word to say it, but like a hot piece that he just throws around and like talks to.
Yeah.
And
It
then
it
when he needs her for sex, he uses her.
this is not like, this movie does not pass the Bechdel test at all. It's not like I like the its portrayal of women is like objectively terrible.
Yes.
And like what happens next with her? Um
Yes. He very strangely starts to like force himself onto her, and it's riding this weird line of, is this supposed to be funny or like concerning?
yeah, I was definitely
Um
scratching my head at this part.
yeah. But she ends up being very into it,
Mhm.
and they get it down in front of an audience of Chinese folks
Yeah.
who cheer
Who
and
cheer
love
and
it.
watch and like ogle at what's going on.
Yes.
And he's doing it, I mean, he's doing it to increase it, or like to keep his heart rate up,
Yeah.
but it really is just like an excuse to have like a very stupid, very funny, like silly sex scene in it.
Yeah.
Um
I have to mention there's a amazing shot where it's like this wide pullout
mhm.
of like Chev celebrating him having sex in that moment, and he shouts, "I'm alive!"
I'm alive. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it just it's such just like an infectious energy
Yeah.
that you really like, you just can't help but keep up with him. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? This movie does everything in its power to be as fast as possible,
Mhm.
and also just like it throws so much at you that when something throws you off, 15 more things happen within 5 seconds that's
Yeah.
like, how could I even think about that?
Wait, I
Like,
kinda skipped over, he after he escapes the hospital,
uh-huh.
he basically, like, GTA steals a motorcycle from a cop and rides throughout the city while his butt kinda hangs out.
Yeah.
It's this beautiful, like, montage of him going through, like, a bridge, and in the funniest way, he, like, crash dives off of it, like,
Yeah.
into the seating of, like, a little, like, diner or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's so funny. It's hilarious. Yeah. But anyway, honestly, with this first one, not much happens
Yeah.
beyond this point. Yeah.
Well, okay, so should we talk about the climax? About the
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the movie, the structure is kind of, there's no like hero's journey, right? It's
Nah.
just, "Hey, I have to keep my heart rate up, mate." And then it's just that for 90 minutes, and it keeps going and escalating to the point where he is on a plane
Yeah. There's like
and
a little he confronts Verona. He
mhm,
dons his little old boy attire.
mhm.
And he has like a shootout. The Korean mob, I believe.
Yeah,
Take
Don Kim.
yeah, Don Kim takes his side, and there's a shootout. They end up retreating to a helicopter, and
Mhm.
then there's this crazy little bit where they're fighting as they're falling out of this helicopter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then should we talk about how the movie ends?
Yeah.
So he kills Verona,
Yeah.
right? In the air, and he's like flying in the sky, and he just kind of accepts his death, right?
Yes.
And he CGI falls onto a car and then bounces comically off like like a bouncy ball and slams onto the ground and just looks into the camera, and then it just fades to black.
Yeah, there's
And
a
then the credits
couple
roll.
couple blinkies, and
Yeah, yeah, a
then
couple blinkies to assert that he's alive. But, you know, it's like it's just like the perfect like, will he
crescendo.
make it to being alive? And then he just falls from grace. The grace that he's been riding the whole time,
Yeah.
and then just plop dead, credits roll, and it's just like, wow, what a great 90 minutes I just spent.
And that's the end of Chev Chelios for now. And
Yeah.
also just little heads up, like if we're doing any caricature kind of accents or Jason Statham voice, like it's out of love. It's
It
not out
is
of
kind of
hate.
out of a great appreciation for what this movie accomplishes.
Yeah, I love Jason Statham. I have so much respect for him.
Me
I could
and
never.
me and Justin watched The Meg together in 8th grade, and that is an incredible Jason Statham
The
movie.
Meg. Oh, that's the Meg in it.
That's a big shot.
That's a big shark. I gotta go kill that shark. Anyway, but yeah, that's the first Crank from 2006.
Mhm.
Let's give quick ratings.
I feel like, okay, honestly, I feel like all things considered, like, if I've definitely seen movies that I rated a 6 out of 10 that were as good, but I feel like they're like, it is not just a 6 or a 7. Like, there's truly nothing like it,
Mhm.
but it also, like, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's like a
Is what it is.
cheap hit cheap action movie that really just does not care about anything, has some problematic aspects, doesn't even let you think about them. But I feel like a solid 6 to a 7.
Nice.
But, like, one of the 6s to a 7s that like, there are rom-coms that are 6s to 7s that I've watched, like, 7 times, and I feel like it's in that tier.
You'll be coming back to this one?
For sure.
Hell
I'm gonna
yeah.
show so many people this movie.
Yeah, and I'll give this one, upon my 3rd watch, a very solid 7 out of 10 with a
Great.
beating heart.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let's move on to the second one, Crank High Voltage from 2009.
So, I can when I was thinking about this movie, I was like, "So what could you possibly do if you're making a sequel to Crank
Mhm.
that isn't cheesy or, like, redundant or isn't just the same exact thing?" And, well, they really do pass that test with flying colors.
Yes.
If you wanna get into the basic premise or the intro.
Yeah, they're not lying about the high voltage. Yeah, this one we catch back up with Chelios, and he's revived. He's kind of taken in by these doctors who are a part of this Chinese mob, and they realize, oh, he has a infinite heart. So I'm so sorry.
He's allowed to do that accent, guys.
Yes, yes. Um, but he has like a godly heart, so they steal his heart and they basically replace it with like a battery
The
that
funniest looking, like, fake metal heart I've seen in my life. I was
yeah.
watching, I was like, "Oh, are they Iron Manning him?"
Yeah.
And then they put, like, the biggest little, like, hunk of metal that looks like a motor, like a car motor, but
Yeah.
also, like, it has, like, the 4,
Little
um,
dots.
like, parts of a heart, like, it has all the,
Yeah.
like valves and stuff that a heart does, and they just shove it into him, and you're just watching in horror while Jason Statham or Chelios is also watching in horror,
Uh,
and it's just so funny. And you could connect the dots, and you're like, high voltage. He has to keep his heart like charged.
yeah. Yeah, some great body horror to open up this movie. And ch- it's it's basically the first one again,
Mhm.
except this time with some voltage.
Uh-huh.
And the first kind of set piece
Mhm.
is Chev looking for one of these specific members who has stolen his heart,
Yeah.
and he kind of takes out a few of the members, but this ends up with him interrogating one of them
Mhm.
by beating him down,
Uh-huh.
taking off his pants, and
That's
sticking a shotgun
into his butt. In the
into his
first
butt.
10 minutes of the
Yeah.
movie, I'm like, "Okay, so we are certainly topping the tops of the last movie."
Yeah, they're not messing around.
There's no, like, guns blazing, there's no like, nothing is safe, no butthole is safe,
Yeah. And
no
like
race is safe,
seriously,
everyone
because
is getting it. And it's just like, "Okay, alright, let's see where this goes."
like in any other movie, this is one of those gags where it's like I'm not a fan of like sexual assault, I guess,
Yeah.
being played for comedy, but in
It just
the
it's
field of
like
this movie,
it's
it
just
works.
the world. I feel like the most successful part of this movie is that it really, like, it it just feels like it doesn't take itself seriously,
Yeah.
so it feels like you're
Yeah,
supposed to
exactly.
laugh. Like, it's a gun up a guy's butt. Like, that's really all it is. It's, like, the most, like, six-year-old humor ever,
Yeah.
and you are totally allowed to critique it and not like it. I'm not saying you're supposed to like it,
Mhm.
but, like, there was no way in hell I was gonna take it seriously. Like, there was no way in hell I was gonna talk about the real life ramifications of a scene like this,
Oh yeah, no,
because no
it's
one is
hilarious.
sticking an entire neck of a of a shotgun into a butthole.
Yeah, and he
Like,
he just leaves the man there and he's like, "Enjoy it, mate."
yeah,
Yeah.
in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
So yeah, immediately establishes the tone. They are still not effing around in this sequel.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I believe this is the part where he kind of tracks down the man who's stolen his heart.
Mhm.
I believe his name's Ryan. Ryan something.
Something like that.
Yes, red hair, tattoos,
Yeah.
and it's at this prostitute house. And as we're introduced to it, a Asian woman prostitute is kicked through the door.
Mhm. Her name is Rhea.
Ria, yes. And this is where we're introduced to, yes, this titular character.
Uh-huh. And her whole oh my god, her whole character is that she speaks broken English, and she is in love with Chelios because she, like, saved his life, and she speaks English the whole time, and they give her subtitles, and they give her subtitles as if she's not speaking English, and it's just the stupidest thing, and, like,
Yeah.
there's just
The first time she attempts to make like a romantic move on Chev, he says, "Fucking no Ebola for me. Thanks."
it's just like the most like the whole movie is just scoffing humor
Yeah.
to me, and it's just it just really builds to the world and the vibe that these two directors have put together, and it's just so funny that you don't expect her to keep showing up, and she keeps showing up throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. This very caricature recurring character.
Hmm.
And I have to mention this line too. I don't know if this is in exact order, but she says, "What the fuck? I'm clean like baby." And then he says, "What is that fucking C word unease?" Question mark.
And it's like it's the most like I'm watching a 2000s movie like ever line, and me and Justin just cracked up.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, what is this movie?
Yeah. Another line, yet another line I have to point out. The man with Chev's heart is interrogated by it's the same Hispanic gang from the first movie, and they're kind of going back and forth, and he asks, "How the fuck am I supposed to know what kind of ease you is, you slanty-eyed fuck?" Um
It's just
wow. I don't even know how to react to that one. As
like
an Asian person, I'll admit it, I found that hilarious, but at the same time, I was like, "Woo, we can't say that nowadays.
yeah.
We cannot." Thoughts?
I just I don't know, like it's just all the same. Like this is just what this movie is. It is it I feel like this movie more than the first one, it was just like it feels like they really knew that they were not gonna make a second one, and they were like, "If this movie is
A
gonna
third one?
ex" or a third one,
Yeah.
sorry. "If this movie is gonna exist, we are going to make it as abrasive and, like, terrible and, like, like, ontologically evil, basically." Like, this is like an evil script,
Yeah, it
and,
is
like,
very
everyone is, like, a douchebag. The main character is a douchebag, everyone is a douchebag. It's, like, definitely through the eyes of just these white dudes who have witnessed like all the like dark parts of a city through the media they watch, and they're just like regurgitating it onto a paper, and then that has the best execution with like the best script and the best characters and the best editing, and like you just it really feels like everything is coming at you like 100 miles an hour, that like nothing is ever really sticking, and
Mhm.
these just atrocities are just being slammed at you. It's just it's like there's just no other instance where I've witnessed a movie like this.
That's a good way to put it, atrocities left and right.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on. We're just gonna be jumping around with this
Yeah.
movie. We catch back up with some of the characters from the previous film. We
Mhm.
have Venus, who is the replacement for Kalo because
Mhm.
Kalo was killed in the first movie, and this is his twin brother that was never mentioned.
Mhm.
And his recurring bit is that he's not as flamboyant, but he has full body Tourette's. So
He
he
calls it
basically
FBD. And the block text, like the meme block text, full body Tourette's.
yeah,
And his whole thing is that he'll go and then just start like
tweaking.
jiggling
Yeah.
like during the thing. And it's like, why did they come up with this? Like it literally just to be just to be stupid. It's just to be stupid. His whole thing is I want to avenge my brother, and I like it's just so stupid.
Yeah, and it culminates in this beautiful sequence where Rhea, the prostitute, and Venus have this Tourette's off, I guess, where they're both like just spazzing out and going crazy. And yeah, I mean, That's how you played by the same actor, by the way. That's how
Yeah.
you reintroduce an actor slash character. We catch back up with Eve, who has pursued a life of adult kind of dancing.
Mhm.
What's her
Yeah,
name?
she's basically a sex worker
Yeah.
now, and
What's
it was implied that she kind of was before, but Kilios was like saving her from it.
yeah.
That type of narrative, very played out, but like very kind of integral to the story. I feel like because
Yeah.
it is so weird that lo and behold, once again they have another crazy public sex act
Oh
that
boy.
probably tops the first one.
Yeah.
They are at somehow a horse race and they're horse betting, and the whole joke is that they are at a horse race where everyone is cheering on the horses and she is riding him,
Mm-hmm.
and like the exact same thing happens, and
Yeah.
then boom, he leaves her alone and everyone is like watch what happened, and she is just like mad at him, and it's just the most slapstick sex scene like ever, and it's just like more misogyny, more terrible, like the real ramifications of this are terrible, but the movie is not in like not trying to engage with it at all, and it's like, well, that's
yeah.
sick as hell, I guess, like
The law
cool.
the law does not operate the same that it does in
Yeah.
I could imagine Long Beach in real life. But yeah,
Yeah.
I have to mention in that sequence, pushing the limits even further,
Mhm.
and there's this glorious moment where Eve is on the bottom
Oh god,
and a
yeah.
horse jumps over them, and
Yeah.
there's a POV shot where we see the horse
Dude, I love
genitalia.
how much we are not selling this movie at all. There's just like, oh, this racist thing happens, this like sex crime happens, this thing. But like when you like, I feel like if you watch it, if you go into the movie knowing all of these things that happen and then you actually watch it, it is so funny how insanely portrayed it is. You
Yeah,
know what I
out of
mean?
context, this is must sound crazy, but if there's anyone out there who's familiar with these movies,
No,
like,
I would
yeah, you'll
honestly
get it.
love to hear all of this stuff about the movie and then watch it and be like, like how could they ever have done this? And then you watch it and you're like, oh my god.
Hmm.
There's really no way to like fully convey how it does all these things without watching it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The Doc Miles is also back,
Hmm.
and he's spending most of his time with this other prostitute, an African American woman named do you want to say it?
Is it just chocolate?
Yep.
And it's like, oh yeah, I wonder like these two white dudes are writing a name with or writing a character that she's an African American prostitute. What would you name her? And it's just like the most like of course you're gonna roll your eyes. Like this whole movie is just like eye rolling craziness, and it just keeps topping itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he basically tells Kalios that the only way to stay alive is to charge it hot.
Yeah.
So he like probably the most striking image of this movie is when he we're kind of going back, but a car is stopped and he gets that car to jumpstart his heart, where he puts the negative end of a jumpstarting cable on his tongue and the other one on his nipple and just gets charged like the way that a car battery would, and instantly just starts kicking ass.
Yeah, goes Super Saiyan, just runs down the street like straight up Florida man energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good moment. He encounters these two blokes in a park who are kind of like abusing a dog with a shock collar,
Hmm.
and he stands up for the dog and then says, "You crazy? Put that on me and use it." And
Yeah.
then he shocks himself, and that charges him some more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Honestly, it's a lot like the first one where it's just
yeah.
jumping from set piece to set piece. There's nothing to really dissect.
There are truly some great like key moments that like I feel like
Yes.
really comprised of the best parts of the movie for me. There's some great cutaway gags. There
Oh, yeah, like we
is
mentioned.
the guy from It's Always Sunny.
Yes, this was the doctor that Chev held up at
Glenn
gunpoint.
Howerton,
Yes.
who showed up in the first one. He's going to a therapy session, and his therapist is just very obviously like
Seduce.
trying to seduce him for no reason.
She's
It's
just like
literally
a
just played as absurd
sexual
comedy.
degenerate. Yeah.
Yeah, and and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna live my life to the best of my abilities. And he gets up, and then this is while like a shootout is happening with Kelios, and there's six like crash cuts where it shows a bullet being
Ricochet.
ricocheted 7 times and instantly into his brain. And it's just like stuff like that happens all the time. And then he finally gets to the guy who supposedly has his heart in a briefcase, right?
Yeah.
And he's in, I think, like, a power plant or
Yeah.
something, and literally, like, a Spider-Man 2 sequence happens where there's energy surging all around him, and you think it's gonna be this crazy fight where he, like, literally zaps him and, like, turns into, like, literally
Electro.
Electro. None of that. Do you wanna talk about what it is instead?
Yeah, it just for honestly no reason, it just devolves into this, like, hypothetical, I guess, like, kaiju fight where they're just in the power plant and just tossing each other around
They're both in basically, like, mech suits and, like, they're tossing each other around, and it's supposed to mock old, like, Godzilla movies, no?
for no reason.
For absolutely no reason,
Yeah, and then
and
we cut to some of the workers there, and they're like, "This is crazy."
yeah, and they're seeing it as literally just them fighting each other, but we're
Yeah,
seeing it as this crazy kaiju fight, and
yeah,
the kaiju fight ends, he opens a briefcase, and it's not in there,
yeah.
right?
They Pulp Fiction box us, and they don't show us what's in the box, but they're like,
But the answer is that it's not his heart, and it's something a million times worse, and they
yeah,
don't say what it is.
okay. And we skip past it a little bit, but it's the last line that I'll mention on this
Mhm,
kind of level.
mhm.
But as he's chasing this man who has his heart while he's in a car, Chev lands on the car and he does something. The guy with his heart does something, and
Mhm.
Chev goes, "Did I drop some change or did I hear a chink?"
And it's like
It's
it's like sick.
like,
It's
yeah,
cool. More racism.
little double meaning line
I
there.
see what you did there, bro.
Yeah.
Clever one.
Yeah, there's a very, like, frat guy energy to
Yeah.
this duology.
And as two people who are very much not not frat guys
Yeah,
and who are part of the demographics who are typically the butt of the jokes,
yeah,
although we are still like dude bros, we are still men. That like I'm sure there's other parts of this movie that we will like not be offended by as like compared to other people.
yeah,
But it really does like to me it just didn't feel like a movie that was worth the time getting exhausted about. You know what I mean?
yeah,
This movie was not like it was literally made with the intentions to piss me off.
yeah,
So like I'm not gonna get like I'm gonna have fun. Like I'm gonna like it was to piss me off and to like enjoy the ride, right?
yeah,
So I'm gonna enjoy the ride.
yeah, just the most definitive thing I can say is if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. If it is your thing, you're gonna
Yeah.
have a blast with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess with the plot, it follows the same kind of formula, and we end up at a final set piece, like, kinda standoff between all the gangs,
Mhm.
and except this time, we have, like, a reveal that the main antagonist who's leading, like, the Hispanic gang is the 3rd secret brother of Ricky Verona, and then
S
the guy that Chev chopped off his hand.
and it's just like all these crazy callbacks. Like at this point, you have such a fleshed out world. Like this world has such a fleshed out world in just two 90-minute movies.
Yeah,
Like there's so many different gangs. There's so many different like race gangs that are all like just I don't know. It's crazy.
it's a very specific to race gang world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the funniest manner, very, like, almost Cronenbergy, this secret 3rd brother is has Ricky Verona's head in, like, a glass tank, and he's keeping him alive,
Mhm.
and I believe he wants Chelios's heart
Mhm.
to, like, bring him back in, like, a physical form,
Yeah.
something like that.
Mhm.
Doesn't happen. They shoot out, and Chelios ends up on top,
Yeah.
and he gets set on fire, and he
He kind
burns
of
to
has
a
this
crisp.
beautiful
Yes.
like angelic moment where it's like he is literally like dying like his skin is peeling off
He
but
sees Rhea.
like he sees Rhea and he thinks that it's Eve his lover who is realistically in the back of a police car for like public sex acts
Yeah.
and he like has this angelic final moment with her tosses her away. Rhea is so confused cuz this man is on fire and just lit her on fire um by embracing her, and he kinda just, like, passes away, and then the credits roll.
Dude, he, like, full on I mean, it happens in the first one, the end of the first one, but he,
Mhm.
like, locks eyes with the audience,
Yeah.
looks into the camera, and then just fades away,
Yeah,
and
and
that's where we end.
it's just both movies are just so adrenaline, like, ridden that it really just feels like they keep going, they keep going, they keep going, and then boom, crash. And, like, it really feel like to me, it really feels like how drinking, like I am so caffeine sensitive. Those old, like, commercials were like that were like how it feels to chew 5 gum.
Yeah.
It feels like that, or it feels like what drinking a Monster feels like for me,
Mhm.
and it's just like the craziest crash.
That's a funny
Um,
way to put it.
but I don't know, I feel like there is still so much to appreciate. Just movies are not edited like this anymore.
Yeah.
Movies don't have these kinds of scripts. I'm not saying it's a like a script or like a mindset that I appreciate. It's just like the it feels like you can't really have one without the other. You can't have the racism and the sexism and the terribleness without the abrasive, crazy, like adrenaline junkie, like humor. Like
Yeah.
it's a style that I mean, there's a reason there's no Crank 3. I feel like
Yeah.
they've people have been wanting to make them, but I feel like they know that they couldn't make one now that was as true to themselves as the ones they made then. And
Which is unfortunate because the degeneracy side of it
yeah.
and how unhinged it is like inherently a part of its nature.
Yeah.
And like if we were to ever make another one
Mhm.
and it's not done like that, it would just feel very like it was not justified,
Yeah.
and
And
that would be unfortunate.
honestly, I think I'm okay with leaving movies like this in the past, but, like, there will always be something to appreciate about these movies, and, like, what it makes them even more appreciated is that they just don't exist anymore, right?
Yeah. And like
And I do
it's
kind
it's
of
it's dirty degeneracy aside,
yeah.
these are very solid
Yeah.
action movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, honestly, another part that I do really like is, like, what's his name? Kaio? Like
Kalo?
K Kalo, is that his
Yeah.
name? Um, like, the fact that he has, like, a gay best friend and that his, like, perfect angelic, like, romantic interest throughout the movie is like a sex worker, or just that, like, everyone involved that is, like, on his side is kind of like a part of who in the early 2000s was part of, like, a marginalized demographic. And it,
Yes.
like they're obviously not treated with, I would say, the respect that they, like, deserve, but there are characters in here that, like, I truly do feel like people who are part of those demographics now would, like, really enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like characters like Kalo and his brother, or even like Eve, I think they are, like there's still aspects of them that are still fun
Yeah.
and, like, great.
Yeah, these
Um,
movies exist in a
they truly are
very
like time capsules,
yeah,
you know?
time capsules, and they exist in a very specific place within film history,
Yeah.
and I think they really take advantage of that space that they, like, inherit.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then, yeah, there's room for the less degenerate and more, I guess, intellectual, more proper
Yeah.
ways of telling a story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess
And that is Crank 1 and
that's
2.
Crank and Crank High Voltage.
So, yeah,
Awesome.
I would say that you should definitely check it out if you're into movies like I don't even know. I feel like you should probably say. I don't think I've seen movies like
Hmm.
this.
There's not many action movies like these,
Uh-huh.
but
I feel like if you're into GTA,
yeah, if you like Grand Theft Auto, if you like John Wick or like The Raid,
it feels kinda like
or
Invader Zim to me.
yeah, if you're into that 2000s edge, this will be right down your alley.
Yeah. And I'm just so glad that, like, a lot of the people involved in this movie have had great careers after.
Yeah,
You know, Statham is still kicking,
yeah.
making shitty movies like The Beekeeper, and, like, I don't know.
That's almost like there's some like sprinkles of like, oh, this is kind of like that early
Yeah.
2000s
Oh,
action.
and we forgot to say the best aspect, the 2000s aspect is that it ends with a gag reel
Oh
where they show all
yeah.
the, like, other takes and, like, the stunts, and it the, like movies need to end with gag reels more often.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we gotta there's aspects of these movies that we have to bring back, and if we can't bring back all of the things, which maybe it's better to do, the least we can do is appreciate them and the time they existed in and realize how much better things have gone, how many I think the only reason why honestly, the only reason why I don't feel so, like, personally offended by a lot of the shitty portrayals of all these people is that if I'm mad about it, there's so many other movies by competent directors that do these people, like, justice, right?
Yeah,
And now that
exactly.
we have those movies, we can look back at these movies that were stupid and be
Mhm.
like, "Well, I mean, like, I feel like arguably we can appreciate it more."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. That's the best way to look at it. But I'd still kill for a Crank 3 the exact same way. Anyway, let's give ratings quickly.
Okay, this one is honestly, I gave it originally a 4, or
Mhm.
sorry, like an 8 out of 10. 8.5 to a 9, maybe. Like, it's just
Oh.
there's nothing like it. I do like this one significantly better. Something about it, like it, just the high voltage, like it feels like you forget about it sometimes. Like it's like we didn't really talk about, but like how many different ways can this man charge himself up?
Yeah.
And the kaiju battle, the cutaway gags, the terrible CGI of the like fire at the end, the gag reel, just like I don't know, it feels like it has so much heart, and I like that it just exists in a time and place that never will exist again. Feels very, very significant. So like 8 or a 9.
Nice. I would also give this a very high 8 out of 10,
Mm.
with a beating electrified heart. So yeah, 4
Aw,
stars. 4 stars out of 5.
awesome.
Great. That was awesome. We talked about Crank. We got Cranked, Crank those
We did get cranked. We got
90s.
we got grown, not shown. Um
Good callback, bro.
yeah. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us.
If you did,
I had such a great time being on.
it was great to have you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the wannabes. So
I guess that's what they call us.
I'm a wannabeer myself. And yeah, it's just great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Um, if this project is still going by the time you're back again,
I'd
we'll
love to
have
be
you
back.
back
Yeah.
again.
Sounds
And
good.
we'll talk about something I'm sure just as extreme and nutty. Is there any do you wanna, like, plug yourself? I don't know, social media?
Um Covinlations 444, KAVINLATIONS 444 on Substack if you like
Yes.
reading stuff. It's like my little journal.
Hell yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah.
That's good. Sorry if this went a little long. Our bad, whatever.
I don't feel bad at all.
No, I don't feel bad either. I'm just
Fuck y'all free
trying to be
time.
nice. Yeah, fuck y'all free time. Alright. That was it. See you later.
All right. See ya.